If you treat your headlines and the first lines of your LinkedIn posts, Facebook posts, blog posts as if they don't matter, they won't, because no one is going to read the rest of your content. No punches pulled here on 8-Second Rule. This is 8-Second Rule, the podcast about attention-based marketing where we talk about getting, holding on to, and developing the attention of your ideal audience. You've got 8 seconds. What are you going to do with it? Hello, and welcome once again to 8-Second Rule. I am Mark R. Morse Jr., your host and the bull rider of copywriting. If you want to know what that means, you can find me on LinkedIn and read my About section. It's all about cowboys. It's all about getting on top of the bull and staying up there for at least 8 seconds so you can score. It's all about basketball and getting that ball past the half-court line in 8 seconds or less so that it's not turned over to the other team. It's all about marketing and the amount of time you have to catch someone's attention before they scroll right on by or click on to the other link. So today, as a copywriter, I would say I probably take more chances than a lot of people. Now, I'm not one of those in-your-face, just really gung-ho guys who drops an F-bomb in every other paragraph or whatever, but I think I'm a little risky. But listen, Jessica Walrack, she jumps out of freaking airplanes, man. And I saw a post that she talked about this on LinkedIn, and I just had to have her on the show because I loved the way that she started it, and she's going to tell you all about it, and then she's going to school me on how to write headlines and opening lines right here on 8-Second Rule. You got 8 seconds. What are you going to do with it? I am here with Jessica. Is it Walrack?
Uh-huh.
Okay. She is someone that I'm connected to on LinkedIn recently, and she's another writer, but she has done some really fun stuff with her social media, and I particularly noticed a story that she told about skydiving the other day, and the opening of it was really great, and so I wanted to have her on to kind of talk to us about opening lines and just whatever she wants to share about kind of catching attention and how to do that. So Jessica, if you want to just tell us who you are and kind of what you do. And then, share what you want, and I'll ask questions as we go.
Sound good. Well, thanks again for the invite. And yeah, I'm a professional writer and marketing strategist. So I've been writing for about 8 years professionally now. And so on social, on that post that you pointed out, there's a technique that I use sometimes. And I would say that, when you're writing headlines, it really starts with your concept of your post. And so I break it down into 3 steps, basically. So the first step is kind of thinking up, your general concepts that you want to talk about. So on LinkedIn, it's obviously around professional work sort of things. So you come up with an idea. And then the second step is to think about, if it has a factor that's really interesting to you or really surprising or funny or something that's just really going to get attention. And if it doesn't, kind of thinking of a parallel that you can draw that does have those attributes to them. And so once you kind of have that set, then the third thing would be the headline. So you want to make sure that in your headline, you're sharing that part that's really, that gets you, that's really funny or, interesting. So in practice, like my skydiving post that you saw, the initial idea I wanted to share was kind of what happens in your career when you work really hard and pitch and pitch and pitch, and you're trying to get work. And then all of a sudden the tide kind of changes and you start to get, your brand is built and you start to get work. And so skydiving kind of tied into that because of the whole terminal velocity thing, how you just fall and then all of a sudden you kind of get your balance. And so when I thought of that, I was like, that's perfect because skydiving, it's dangerous. And so the idea of jumping out of a plane automatically is going to get people's attention, So in the headline, I had to use that key part, did you know when you jump out of a plane, ... And then people are just like, wait, what? It kind of like jumps out and gets your attention. So,
Well, it's definitely not an everyday experience. So it's something that you kind of pulled out there. And I was curious. The reason I stopped to read your post, I wanted to know if you'd actually done it or if you had just researched it and were sharing, which either way is great because anyone could write a skydiving post.
right.
They just have to find a way to personalize it. But it's really cool. You've got the picture of yourself there in the plane. And so and your slide deck made it fun too. So I just thought the post was absolutely brilliant. I hope it got you a lot of attention.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. And I think that it can also work be a different way too, where if you have an experience or something an idea that is, really funny or something that you just want to share, but that you don't really see, it's not directly related to work, you can kind of think of it the opposite way where you're like, for example, I had another post, I don't know if you saw it, about blowing up my lasagna.
Yeah, I responded to that because I've done the same thing when I was very young with a taco casserole. Actually, set a glass casserole dish, I think, on a burner that was warm but not still hot because I thought it's coming out of the oven, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then my brother, the scientist, explains to me, he's like, "Dude, that burner gets up to like 700 degrees. It's not the same as your oven." I was like, "Oh, well, okay."
Yep, exactly. And yeah, I just kept thinking like, I blew up my lasagna. Like that just sounds so ridiculous,
It does, but it got a lot of people talking.
But that's my best performing post that I've had. So it's just like those little things that I think a lot of people say, like, have you seen that quote going around, write copy like you're writing for your wife, which means basically you want to, respect your audience and respect their intelligence and everything.
Hi, guys. This is Mark Morris, the copy bull writer from 8 Seconds Rule. And I just want to start off by telling you about Anchor. Anchor.fm. I found this site a couple of years ago, and it is the simplest and easiest way to start a podcast that I know of today. You can do it straight from your smartphone. You don't need anything but their app. It's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast. You can even add music, add buffers, all of those things right here on the site. It doesn't cost anything to host it. You can start as many as you want. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it's heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more, and you make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
But I think it's a step further, like write it for you. Like what would get your attention? What jumps out at you? What do you think's really funny? And kind of use that to craft, because it resonates with other people too, in my experience.
Absolutely. And I think that second part plays into this whole, of course, it's kind of a faux movement towards authenticity in a way, because it's way overproduced. It's filtered and, edited and everything else. So it's funny that authenticity, just like irony a few years back, is taking on a whole new meaning, honestly, because most of it's not. But if you want to be authentic, you have to do what resonates with you. Because if you don't, then honestly, you have to find a way to make whatever you're talking about resonate with you if you really want to be honest.
Right.
And that can be tough to do. What other tips would you give us? Or you mentioned a process. Is there anything more, like exercises that you can do? I know you have the questions that you do there, but what do you recommend? I mean, I can teach all kinds of things, but it's nice to have other voices on here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, one thing that I think that you can do if you're kind of having trouble thinking of what to write or, crafting things that people respond to, is to scroll through your feed and just pay attention to what you stop on, like you might not realize what is actually getting your attention. And so whenever you see something and you stop and you click that see more, take a screenshot, and do that just through your normal scroll. And then you can go back and look through that and just kind of see, what actually you find interesting.
That's a great idea. And so something that for those who are not writers in the crowd, something that you'll want to do is you think of ideas that are kind of parallel. You don't always want to duplicate what you saw that you found interesting, but you can use the same feeling. You can use the same emotions. Yeah. Or sometimes you'll even go the opposite direction or intersect with it so that you're kind of disrupting that thought pattern. Because there's a lot of things on LinkedIn that get said that I don't necessarily agree with. It'll be a post that's real generic and it'll have 5,000 comments about how inspiring it is. And I'm just like, oh, sigh, that's just pathetic. I don't, And so there are times when I'll actually, that'll be my inspiration, was something that I saw that it caught my attention, but not necessarily in a positive light, and so you can turn that around and flip it and ask yourself questions that way too.
Including words that are different and messaging that is different. Like if you look around, you're going to see a lot of content that's just the same. Like you have to branch out and say something unique, and a lot of people who I like to follow are just, off the cuff, and they throw in randomness. Like for your content, for example, you're doing the 10 posts per day thing, and you just never know I never know what I'm going to see from you,
Well,
and that's,
so I've been writing professionally for a very long time. I say 12 years, but it was way before that in theater and other things. But I got my creative writing degree so long ago. I honestly only remember one professor. I know I learned stuff, but I don't remember anything from it. I was busy getting married and having kids, and so it was just a blip. But I love in fact, I love your little tagline here: great content, no headaches. That says a lot. That says a whole lot, because sometimes working with creatives can be a real drama fest,
Totally.
But if you can produce good content and not give the client, not put in the histrionics and all that fun stuff, it definitely works better.
Yeah.
As far as mine is concerned, it's just a backlog of content that I'm breaking up and spitting out. But I've been doing it so long too. Like I could go through a random list of memes and probably write 4 posts for each of them, just instantly, because I've been producing other people's content in my own so long that I'll just spin off ideas, and not all of them are good, mind you. Somebody may like it, but that doesn't mean it's going to get me a lot of traction.
Right.
So, so sometimes the random thing does work well. I think it works well for an approach where you're throwing a lot of stuff out and you can kind of see where you're at. And I'm going to go back through all of this. I'm using shieldapp.ai to keep track of all the, analytics on it.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I see the attention starting to lag, then I'll probably drop back to maybe half of that and see if I can find a sweet spot.
Yeah.
That kind of gives me steady increase. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you find that you are able to get leads directly from your LinkedIn profile?
I do, yeah. And it's not necessarily, my main goal on LinkedIn, but it's a side effect.
Sure.
I think that when you're in people's awareness and you're talking about things and people can see what you do and your expertise, it happens as a byproduct.
I agree 100%. Yeah. And that is what I teach a lot. I'm moving more into coaching, I think, because I'm tired of writing for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I really want to start talking about a lot is authority marketing and kind of establishing yourself. And what you're saying about differentiation is interesting. When I'm done with this, actually this afternoon, I have a script ready to do an episode on differentiation. And the magic of it is not what people think. It's not to make you special or sexy or anything like that. It eliminates the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you become different enough, then you get that blue ocean effect where you're the only one in the market that does what you do.
Right.
So you kind of eliminate that. You can, and so the more different you become, the more you not only, push the competition, keep them at arm's distance, but then also the people that you attract will be more magnetic to your brand and your style of working.
Exactly. And I think that a lot of times at first it can kind of feel like, why am I different? What do I have to say? But if you put yourself, on a schedule and just continuously write your ideas and, things that happen to you and your experiences, and maybe even just what you do on a daily, day-to-day basis, that does differentiate you without even trying. Like in time, there's just certain things that will come out, that are different from other people. So I think that,
well, just sharing content regularly will differentiate you, because you're going to be ahead of 91% of the users on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty crazy in and of itself.
It is. It's an interesting and fun journey, I think. And I really like LinkedIn as a platform right now. I think that it's a good time to get onto it and interact, because it's just positive and the reach isn't, as limited as you're going to find on, say, Instagram or Facebook.
I agree completely. And it's very responsive, is what I've noticed. It feels, I was in social media marketing back in 2010, 2011. And it's funny because I tell people, and this is true, but it's not nearly as impressive as it sounds. My profile on LinkedIn was the number one search for social media consultant for about 9 months in that period. But it's because I crammed it full of keywords. I didn't really know what I was doing. And their search algorithm was so drop dead simple back then. All you had to do was put social media anything in, like your job experience stuff. And so a few years later, they actually banned me. I hadn't used the platform in, I don't know, a month or two. And then I get a notice saying that my account was taken down because I had too many keywords stuffed into it. So they changed the rules and it came back on me. But
wow, that was Jessica Walrack. There was some really, really great tips for you guys. And if you are interested in finding out more about her, you can find her on LinkedIn along with me, Mark R. Morris Jr. And you can also find her at Performex Media. So be sure and look her up if you're interested. And come and find me on LinkedIn, or you can get a hold of me on Gmail at markrmorris2@gmail.com. If you have writing projects that you need done, especially books, I am in the market for more clients for 2021. So I've got a couple more slots to fill, and I'd love to talk with you. I also do free half-hour consulting for anyone, and I try to pack as much into that as I possibly can. Imagine you're getting out of a 16-minute or 20-minute podcast here, but this would be for a whole half hour, me focused on what you do and the issues that you are currently facing, and me helping you with those problems. I don't know what I can solve for you, but we could give it a shot. So listen, on today, I'm going to give you a really quick tip on a free tool that you may or may not know about, because a lot of people really don't. And this is called trends.google.com. Trends.google.com. Google Trends is the place where you can find the absolute 100% hottest keywords in the world. So it will tell you all of the top searches that are taking place right now, and also have a lot of articles there about trending searches. So if you want to get some traffic, you can tie into some of these. Now, I know that is, it's a little bit spammy, but it can help to drive your authority. It can help to bring your numbers up if you talk about things that people want to hear about. And if you can tie them in, you might even be able to win some people over. But sometimes just a little bump in the numbers is what you need. And that's trends.google.com. You can go there anytime and it will update daily. All right, guys, that's it for 8 Second Rule this time around. You have 8 seconds. What are you going to do with it?